welcome to this new video. Today we are going to talk about pod management in Kubernetes. There are some pod in Kubernetes that is important to know the use of that. We are going to explain each of them so that when you see them, you will exactly know what they are used for. So this is Kubernetes pod management. The first thing we are going to talk about is a container pod, right? What is a container pod? So container pod, for example, when you look at the deployment file, you are going to see something there called container pod. And container pod is actually specify the port number that the container listen on. So the container pod is actually what specify the port number that the container listen on, right? Container pod will specify the port number that the container listen on. Then after the container pod, you have the node port. The node port is actually the port that is open on the node, right? It's a port that's open on the node, and we can use node port to access the application on the browser. So container port is just a port that is the container listen to. So container port is a port that the container listen to, and the node port is a port that is actually used to access. If you use you set your service like type node port, that service will be accessible on the browser using the IP address on the node and the IP address of the and the port of the node port, right? They have another one called port. This is actually the service port. So the port is actually the service port. That's the port that we are going to use to access the application of our service. Remember, the service is placed in front of the port, and that service has a port. It's called actually the service port. And we have another one called target port. The target port specifies the port on the port that the service should be routed. So the target port is just the port that the service should be routed to, right? The target port is just a port that the service should be routed to. So, and usually you will see the target port, the node port, and the port, those are specified in the service file, but the container port is actually specified in the deployment file, right? Container port is specified on the deployment file, and the container port is just a port that the container listens to. The node port is a port that is located on the node. The port is a port that is located on the service, and the target port is a port that the service should be routed to, right? The port on the port. So that port is actually on the port that the service should be routed to. So that's what all for this video. You are going to see this a lot, especially on the deployment. You will see container port. Just know that that's a port that the container is going to listen to. The node port is actually when you specify the type of service node port, you will see that. And the port is actually the service port, meaning that it's the port of the service, Kubernetes service. And the target port is actually specify the port on the port that the service should be routed to. I hope you like this video. See you guys in the next video. Thank you.